This week, Pope Francis meets with Obama. The Commission to Protect Minors is officially set up. Hello and welcome to Vatican Connections, and what a week it's been. The Commission for the Protection of Minors was formally created this week. Pope Francis appointed 8 members, all of whom have vast experience in this issue. The commission was first announced back in December by Cardinal Sean O'Malley after one of the meetings of the Council of Cardinals. Now, all 8 members have experience in the area. In fact, one is a survivor of clerical sexual abuse. Others are psychologists specialized in helping victims heal or in helping identify potential abusers. We'll have details on the newly appointed members coming up in a little bit on the program. Now, we could call this next story the March of the Saints. We have learned that several causes for sainthood and beatification could be moving forward very soon. First up, Archbishop Fulton Sheen. A board of medical experts who advised the Congregation for the Causes of Saints found no natural cause for a healing attributed to Fulton Sheen's intervention. The miracle involves a baby boy who was stillborn in September of 2010. For over an hour, doctors tried to revive him. His parents and relatives asked for Fulton Sheen's intercession, and at 61 minutes without vital signs, the baby was resuscitated. He is now a healthy 3-year-old. The case now has to be reviewed by a panel of theologians, and if they approve the case, Sheen's cause will be presented to Pope Francis for him to officially recognize. Bishop Daniel Jensky of Peoria, Illinois, the diocese overseeing the cause, said this news is a reason for rejoicing, even though there are several more steps ahead. Next in this March of Sainthood causes are 2 Canadian blesseds who could be recognized as saints on April 2nd without a mass and ceremony. Vatican Radio and the postulator for the causes in question said Pope Francis would recognize the sainthood of François de Laval and Marie de l'Incarnation along with that of Brazilian blessed José d'Anchieta. It would be an equivalent canonization, just like what Pope Francis did for Saint Peter Faber. Blessed José d'Anchieta was a Jesuit, and the Jesuits already have a Thanksgiving Mass scheduled for April 24th. No word yet on whether anything is planned for the 2 Canadian saints. Finally, the cause to recognize the sainthood of Pope Paul VI has also moved forward. A miracle attributed to his intercession was approved by a medical panel at the Congregation for the Causes of Saints back in December. A panel of theologians has now approved that miracle, and the only thing remaining is for Pope Francis to sign off on it and issue a decree recognizing him as a blessed. The 2015 World Meeting of Families will be open to all people of goodwill, according to its organizers. Archbishop Charles Chaput was in Rome this week with a delegation from Philadelphia that included the mayor and state governor. Asked about how open the meeting will be to single-parent families, same-sex parents, or remarried couples, Archbishop Chaput said those realities cannot be ignored because people face those situations today. He said the Church always embraces those who differ with it, but of course the meeting will emphasize Catholic teaching on family life. Asked about the possibility of Pope Francis attending the meeting, Archbishop Vincenzo Paglia of the Pontifical Council for the Family said if the Pope decides to attend, confirmation could come as late as 6 months before the event. Finally, the Salesians of Don Bosco have a new Superior General. He is Father Angel Fernandez Artime. He is 53 years old, originally from Spain, and has been Provincial Superior for the order in southern Argentina since 2009. Let's look at what Pope Francis did this week. On Monday, he met with the bishops of Guinea on their ad limina visit. He told them discord among Christians is the biggest threat to evangelization. It opens the door to groups who push for easy and attractive solutions. The visit focused on the need for interreligious dialogue with the Muslim world and the need to fight poverty. He also met with members of the Pontifical Council for Pastoral Care of Healthcare Workers. Pope Francis said, sharing the experience of suffering with someone opens us to the true beauty of human life. Safeguarding it and promoting it, whatever state it is in, we find the dignity and the value of every individual. One is never alone when one suffers because God embraces even the most inhuman situations where it might seem that He is not present. Wednesday was the general audience, and CNS has more.
Come si deve fare per diventare sacerdote? Dove si vendono le entrate? No, non si vendono. Questo è una cosa che l'iniziativa la prende il Signore. Il Signore chiama a ognuno che vuol che diventi sacerdote, e forse siano alcuni giovani qui che hanno sentito nel suo cuore questa chiamata, la voglia di diventare sacerdoti, la voglia di servire agli altri nelle cose che vengono di Dio, la voglia di essere tutta la vita al servizio per catechizzare, battezzare, perdonare, celebrare l'Eucaristia, curare gli ammalati, ma tutta la vita così. Se qualcuno di voi ha sentito questo nel cuore, è Gesù che lo ha messo lì. Curate questo invito e pregate perché questo cresca e dia il frutto in tutta la Chiesa.
On Thursday, Pope Francis celebrated his usual morning Mass at St. Peter's Basilica with a group of Italian members of Parliament. And later in the morning, he met with U.S. President Barack Obama. The private meeting between the Pope and the President lasted 52 minutes, so it was definitely not just a photo op. CNS has more on that meeting.
Pope Francis and President Obama met today for the first time in the Apostolic Palace at the Vatican, and they had a private discussion for an extraordinarily long 50 minutes. This meeting today was extremely important for President Obama. He hasn't been doing well in the polls in the United States, and for the last couple of years he's been involved in a very acrimonious dispute with the Catholic bishops over the contraception mandate. And so this was an opportunity for him to first get close to the most popular leader on the planet by far, Pope Francis, and also to show his affinity to the Catholic Church, especially on the issues of social teaching. He said he's an admirer of Pope Francis. He told him that today, and he's quoted from his apostolic exhortation, Evangelii Gaudium, on the question of economic inequality and social justice. What was striking about the Vatican statement released after the long conversation they had was how relatively negative it was. The Vatican really didn't talk very much about points of agreement except two. It mentioned immigration reform, where the administration's position is relatively close to that of the U.S. bishops, and it talked about a common commitment to eliminate human trafficking. But otherwise, it was a list of areas of disagreement. Religious liberty, which is a reference to the contraception mandate, and also conscientious objection was as well. Talked about the right to life, and we know that the Church and the Obama administration disagree about a lot of issues of medical ethics, abortion, and embryonic stem cell research. And even on foreign policy, there weren't any specifics in the Vatican statement, but it did say that the Pope made clear that negotiated settlement to international conflicts is always desirable. And Pope Francis's main initiative so far in foreign policy has been to oppose President Obama's plan to use military force against Syria in the civil war there. What this shows is that the Holy See is fully behind the U.S. bishops on the question of the contraception mandate and on their continuing defense of life issues, that it also endorses collaboration where that's possible, for example, on immigration reform. But it shows the Obama administration and the American public that the Church isn't divided on these issues, but that in fact the Pope and the U.S. bishops stand shoulder to shoulder.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, pray for me, please.
And finally, on Friday, Pope Francis was scheduled to lead a penitential service to kick off a 24-hour vigil in the city of Rome. 3 churches were to stay open late and have priests on hand to hear confession all night. There would be adoration all night long as well. Now, earlier this week, Pope Francis asked for one church in every diocese around the world to be open 24 hours to participate in this festival of forgiveness. Check with your diocese to find out if there is a church close to you open for confessions this weekend. We mentioned earlier that Pope Francis has named the first 8 members of the Commission for the Protection of Minors. Now, just who are these 8 people? The members of the commission are Dr. Catherine Bonnet of France. She is a psychologist specialized in working with victims of incest and sexual abuse. Marie Collins of Ireland is a survivor of clerical sexual abuse herself. She started several advocacy and support organizations for abuse victims in Ireland and has participated in Vatican-backed workshops and symposiums aimed at getting a better understanding of the phenomenon. Baroness Sheila Hollins from the UK. She is a physician and psychiatrist specialized in the mental and physical health of people with learning disabilities. She has been the head of the Royal College of Physicians and other organizational bodies for doctors in the UK. Cardinal Sean O'Malley is the Archbishop of Boston and also a member of the Council of Cardinals. He was appointed to Boston in 2003 after Cardinal Bernard Law resigned in light of his handling of allegations against priests. Claudio Papale is an Italian lawyer specialized in both civil Italian law and canon law. He works with the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. Hanna Suszoka of Poland is a lawyer specialized in human rights. She was also Prime Minister of Poland and is a former Polish Minister of Justice and a former ambassador of Poland to the Holy See. Father Umberto Miguel Yanez is a Jesuit priest who studied under Pope Francis in Argentina. Father Yanez is a moral theologian and a professor of moral theology at the Gregorian University in Rome. He has also been director of the Center for Action and Investigation in Buenos Aires. Next is Father Hans Zollner, a German Jesuit priest. He is also a psychiatrist and psychologist and rector of the Gregorian University's Institute of Psychology. He has been part of various panels and roundtables aimed at how to identify potential pedophiles and in 2010 co-wrote a book called The Church and Pedophilia, An Open Wound, which is aimed specifically at helping seminary directors and formators spot signs of potential pathology in seminarians. Now, these 8 members of the commission will decide on the statutes of that commission. That means they get to decide what areas they will focus on as a commission and what powers they will need. The Vatican said more members will be appointed once the role of this commission is better defined. Reaction, of course, has been mixed. Some victims groups say this commission is just another study group, and they call for all bishops to hand over their documentation on cases of abuse. There were several other nominations and resignations this week. Let's start with the curial appointment. Monsignor Brian Firm was appointed to be the Prelate Secretary of the Council for the Economy. Monsignor Firm is originally from the UK. He is an expert in medieval history and canon law. He also has been on faculty at Oxford, the Pontifical Gregorian University, the Lateran University, and was Dean of the School of Canon Law at the Catholic University of America. He is currently a consultor for the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, the Council for Legislative Texts, and the Apostolic Signatura. A much-anticipated resignation also took place this week. Pope Francis accepted the resignation of the Bishop of Limberg, Franz Peter Thebart van Elst. He was on temporary leave while the diocese and the Bishops' Conference investigated spending for the renovations to his residence. The Vatican said the situation was such that Bishop Thebart van Elst could no longer exercise his ministry fruitfully in Limburg. The Vatican also said he would receive another appointment at a suitable moment. Cardinal Reinhard Marx, the president of the German Bishops' Conference, said the resignation would end a period of uncertainty for the Church in Germany. The former nuncio to Canada, Archbishop Pedro Lopez Quintana, is now nuncio to 3 countries. Last week, he was appointed nuncio to Lithuania. This week, he was also given responsibility for representing the Pope in Estonia and Latvia. Ho Chi Minh has a new archbishop. Cardinal Jean-Baptiste Pham Minh Man resigned, and the coadjutor archbishop Paul Buy Van Dock succeeded him. Pope Francis also appointed not 1, but 2 auxiliary bishops for La Paz, Bolivia. They are Franciscan Father Aurelio Pessoas Rivera and Dominican Father Jorge Ángel Salida Pedraza. La Paz has had auxiliaries before, but the positions were vacant. Vatican Connections is interactive. Send us your questions or comments by Facebook, Twitter, email, or post. Via email, send comments to info@saltandlighttv.org, and by post, send letters to 114 Richmond Street East, Toronto, Ontario, M5C 1P1, Canada.
Pope Benedict XVI received the President of the United States of America, Barack H. Obama, in private audience on Friday at the Apostolic Palace. The primary focus of discussions were issues that constitute a great challenge for the future of every nation and for the real progress of peoples, such as the defense and promotion of life and the right to conscientious objection.
Great honor for me. Thank you so much.
Immigration was also mentioned, with particular focus on family reunification. Issues of international politics in the light of the results of the summit of the Group of 8 were at the center of discussions. Prospects for peace in the Middle East, where there are convergences, and other regional situations were also addressed. Other topical issues were then discussed, such as dialogue between cultures and religions, the ethical implications of the worldwide economic financial crisis, food security, development aid to Africa, and especially Latin America, as well as the problem of drug trafficking. Finally, they underlined the importance of education for tolerance in every country.
And that's it for Vatican Connections. Follow us on Twitter for daily updates. The handle is @VatiConnections, or check out our blog for important updates. From everyone here, thanks for watching and see you next time.